These are the new Nothing Ear Open earbuds. A pair of earbuds where less might actually end up being more. Allow me to explain. What's up, internet? I'm Brian McDuff, aka BMac, and welcome to another video. So yes, indeed, today I do have with me here the Nothing Ear Open earbuds, Nothing's first ever open wearable stereo or OWS style earbuds. But first things first, I do need to give a huge thank you and a shout out to Nothing for actually sending out a pair of these Nothing Ear Opens for me to be able to check out, review, and enjoy. So Nothing, thank you. I appreciate you. But with that having been said, let's get right into it here, starting things out by discussing the design of the Nothing Ear Open earbuds and how these are unique and what they've got going on the outside and on the inside. And you might be thinking to yourself, okay, BMac, well, what's the point of this? Well, perhaps you work at a job where you're able to listen to music on earbuds, but you still need to be able to hear if a customer's about to ask you a question, or if you need to be able to hear if the doorbell or the phone is ringing. Whatever the case may be, maybe you like to do those things while listening to music, but still being able to hear all the voices and noises around you. Whatever your reasoning is, the Nothing Ear Open OWS earbuds try to give you the best of both worlds in allowing you to hear your music while at the same time being totally aware of everything going on around you. And if you take a closer look, you'll see that Nothing did what I think is an amazing job at incorporating their iconic and easily recognizable semi-transparent design here into the ear opens. They're incredibly slim and lightweight. They weigh in at just about 8 grams per earbud, with the charging case itself actually measuring in at just about 19 millimeters thick, making these OWS earbuds some of the thinnest and slimmest on the market. But looks are one thing, and we all know that Nothing always does a fantastic job at making their products look pretty, but comfort is another thing. And let me tell you, these Nothing Ear Opens are some of the most comfortable OWS earbuds I've ever tried and tested. They have a soft and flexible ear hook design complemented with a 3-point balance system to allow the buds to almost feel weightless when you're wearing them without any kind of uncomfortable pressure points, despite snugly and securely fitting and staying on your ears no matter what your ear size or shape is. In terms of what these earbuds have going on the inside, the Nothing Ear Opens have a custom stepped driver and diaphragm design that, without going into too much detail here, is basically supposed to allow them to reduce distortion when you're listening to music, while at the same time deepening the sound of those lower frequencies to boost the bass that you're gonna be able to hear and experience. And part of how these earbuds are able to weigh in at just 8 grams is in part because of the titanium coating on the speaker diaphragm itself, which allows for a complementing of that bass response we just talked about with higher frequency notes and better accuracy. Now, even though the Nothing Ear Opens are really meant and designed to be listened to without having to play or pause your music, you still do get some track controls on the earbuds themselves, which obviously are gonna come in handy. On both the left and the right earbud, you do get single pinch, double pinch, triple pinch, pinch and hold, and double pinch and hold track controls, which of course can be customized within the Nothing X companion app to set it up the way you want it to, with options for playing or pausing your music, answering or hanging up phone calls, skipping songs, backtracking songs, adjusting volume, or of course invoking your voice assistant. This works by pinching the main body of either earbud itself, which is going to give you a quick and responsive audible click, letting you know that your pinch command is being recognized. I really don't have any complaints here as it relates to track controls on the Nothing Ear Opens. We have all the basic controls you'd want in a pair of earbuds. But let's take a second here to talk about connectivity of the Nothing Ear Open earbuds and how they're able to connect with your various Bluetooth devices. The Nothing Ear Open earbuds do support Bluetooth 5.3 for some of the more recent Bluetooth technology with a longer range and a stronger signal connection, with support for the SBC and AAC audio codecs. Now, typically, this is where I'd be a little upset to not see a high-res Bluetooth audio codec supported, but that's not actually something I'm gonna complain about here. I get it that with the Nothing Ear Opens, Nothing decided to focus more on making these open style design earbuds the best that they could sound based on their design. So I totally understand why that in and of itself was a priority instead of a high-res Bluetooth audio codec. You are also getting support for a low lag mode, which actually offers end-to-end latency that promises to be less than 120 milliseconds, perfect for you gamers out there. And also dual device connectivity, which I wasn't really expecting to see in these earbuds, but I'm happy to see supported with the Nothing Ear Opens. You will notice that there is no in-ear detection here, but that really doesn't come as a surprise because part of the whole point of OWS earbuds like these This will allow you to use them without ever having to play or pause your music, and especially without ever having to take them in or out of your ears, so that you can still hear your music and also still, at any given time, hear what's going on around you. Topping all that off, these babies do come with an IP54 dust and water resistance rating, basically protecting you against your everyday dust and water exposure. Now, since you are likely to connect these earbuds to your smartphone at some point, they do also have a microphone system built in, which Nothing actually spent a lot of time on to ensure that your voice sounds clear with less noise and echo for even more clarity and crispness, which is accomplished through 2 microphones built into the earbuds themselves, combined with a Nothing AI-backed clear voice technology, which is meant to allow the Nothing Ear Open earbuds to allow your voice to sound great no matter what kind of call environment that you're in. So if you're wondering what this microphone quality sounds like on the Nothing Ear Opens, here's a quick little demo for you. This is what the Nothing Ear Open microphone quality sounds like without any wind. This is raw audio recorded directly from the Nothing Ear Opens into my voice memos app. So hopefully this gives you a pretty good idea of what to expect. And this is what the Nothing Ear Open microphone quality sounds like with some wind. This is raw audio quality recorded directly from the Nothing Ear Opens into my voice memos app. So hopefully this gives you a pretty good idea of what to expect. So as you can hear, some pretty solid microphone quality, perhaps not quite as great of microphone quality that we've heard on some other recently released earbuds that we've also reviewed, but solid nonetheless, especially in those windy conditions. But I know probably what's most important to you is how all this translates to sound quality and how these Nothing Ear Open OWS earbuds actually sound when you're listening to them. I gotta admit here, I didn't have huge expectations for the sound quality of the Nothing Ear Opens, not because of the earbuds themselves, but because of their OWS design. But when I first put the Nothing Ear Opens on and I started to listen to music with them, I gotta admit, they sounded so much better than I ever expected them to. Right out of the box, I was super impressed with the level of detail and clarity throughout the entire EQ spectrum, and I was equally impressed with the amount of realistic bass that these babies could punch. You're not gonna get a whole heck of a lot of sub bass, which is honestly not all that surprising here, again, considering their design by nature. The Nothing Ear Open earbuds are also compatible with the Nothing X companion app, which will allow you to choose from one of the 4 EQ presets. But if none of those presets suits your fancy, you do also get an 8-band audio equalizer built into that Nothing companion app. So if you wanted to fine tune and tweak the EQ balance yourself and take matters into your own hands, it's something you could do. All in all, I do think the Nothing Ear Opens sound impressive, but we absolutely have to keep in mind that this is with recognizing that these are an OWS earbud style design. In other words, if you're gonna compare the Nothing Ear Opens with the sound quality of a pair of ANC earbuds, like the regular ears we have over here, you can pretty much guarantee yourself that that is not even a comparison that you should make. The Nothing Ear earbuds are obviously gonna sound way better and are really gonna make the Nothing Ear Open earbuds sound thin, light-bodied, and pretty much overall narrow, but that is because of their open earbud design, and once you understand that and take that into consideration, that is where you could really start to appreciate the Nothing Ear Opens for how great they sound for what they are. Another component of the Nothing Ear Opens that Nothing is excited about is the Sound Seal system, which aims to lessen the amount of sound leakage coming from the buds themselves. And the way that the Opens are actually pulling this off actually works in a way that's somewhat similar to how active noise cancellation works, whereby there's gonna be reversed sound waves generated at the rear of the acoustic ports of the buds themselves that are supposed to cancel out the sound waves emitted from the open directional speakers. Now, this I can attest to. It seems like this is working to provide less sound leakage when you're using these, but to a point. I found that the 50% volume mark is right around the maximum volume point, beyond which you will start to hear sound leakage and pretty easily be able to hear what these earbuds are playing. I'm not gonna say that that Sound Seal system doesn't work. I imagine it does, and that the sound leakage would be a heck of a lot worse if it wasn't implemented here. But don't expect to have a completely private listening experience here, because sound leakage is still a very real thing with the Nothing Ear Opens, especially past that 50% volume mark, and especially on songs with higher energy. But with there being no kind of ANC technology built into these earbuds, how long could you actually expect them to last for? What's the battery life looking like on the Nothing Ear Opens? Nothing is promising up to 8 hours of audio playback on a full charge with the Opens, with a total of 30 hours of listening time when you include the charging case. In terms of talk time, you can expect up to 6 hours of nonstop talk time with the Nothing Ear Opens, with a total of 24 hours of talk time if you're including the charging case. You do also get a quick charge feature here, so if your Nothing Ear Opens are ever dead, you can just pop them into their charging case here, and then just 10 minutes later, you're gonna get 2 full hours of music playback on just that quick 10-minute charge. So all in all, pretty impressive battery life numbers here for the Nothing Ear Opens, especially considering the fact that they are still super light and super slim. But with all this having been said, here are my final thoughts on the Nothing Ear Open OWS earbuds, and whether or not I think they're the right pair of earbuds for you. Simply put, the Nothing Ear Open earbuds pretty much like all open wearable stereo earbuds, are not gonna be for everybody. If you wanna close yourself off from your surroundings and completely immerse yourself in your music with some of the best sound quality possible in a pair of earbuds, that's where you're gonna wanna check out something like the ANC Nothing earbuds instead. These are gonna be a much better fit for you. But if you find yourself constantly wanting to listen to your music while still being completely aware of the world around you, that's where the Nothing Ear Opens are gonna be an awesome option. Naturally, this kind of earbud design, the OWS style, comes with its own kind of drawbacks and limitations, but even when taking those into consideration, the Nothing Ear Opens are a home run for their style. When you consider everything from the overall design and look and feel, to the 3-point balance system, to the sound quality itself, even to the battery performance, once again, Nothing has created a pair of earbuds here that are in real contention for being one of the absolute best in their respective category. As always, for the latest deals, prices, promos, and information for the Nothing Ear Open earbuds, you can of course always head to my affiliate link, bmac.link/nothingearopen, or of course, as always, there's gonna be clickable links in the video description box and in the comment section below, so check those out. But with that having been said, this is awesome. I now have a fantastic sounding pair of OWS earbuds that I could wear when running errands, grocery shopping. Maybe now I could actually hear if a pretty girl comes up to me when I'm grocery shopping saying hello. Still unlikely, but you never know. I'm prepared now. I will see you guys in my next video.